Hello, my beautiful co-creators. Lily here in Colorado. It's awesome. Ken, I love it. I'm so happy. This man, I cannot even tell you how synchronistic it was to meet you, Ken, in Sedona at the Gift of Tiff conference. You introduced me to Cynthia James, actually, that you brought over to Sedona, and then we're now meeting in Colorado in your home state. You introduced me to all those amazing teens. We did some interviews with teens, and this is amazing to see how life can flow easily and effortlessly when we're all aligning for this greater, bigger purpose, and you're so part of that. You're awesome.
Well, thank you, and so are you, and it's just, it really is pretty amazing. At this point, I feel like we're old friends. We've really only known each other a month, but I just feel like we've been doing this work together forever, and that we will continue to do this work forever, because this is important work. It's important to connect with each other. It's important to connect other people to us. It's really important to connect the young people to us, to the world, to each other. And that's really exciting for me.
I love this, and this is so important and coming from the heart. And you are actually Ken is also a talk show host, radio host.
Radio talk show.
So you interviewed me on your radio show about the Juicy Tour,
Yeah.
and now I'm interviewing you because you're interviewing all those wonderful people. And I introduced you yesterday to James Redfield, and it's just like this collaboration. We're really a true example, I feel, of what's needed right now on the planet. It's not about competing or separation.
It's, what I talk about all the time is that we are leaving the age of competition. The Darwinian mentality of survival of the fittest. We're leaving that. And why are we leaving it? Because it didn't work, because it didn't serve us. And now we are moving into an entirely new humanitarian time of collaboration, cooperation, and co-creation. That's what you're about. That's what the introducing each other to all of these other people is about. So often when you're in this realm, and let's call this entertainment, okay? But if you call it entertainment, you want to keep your interviews to yourself. I want to keep my interviews to myself. We don't want anybody to get the benefit of interviewing the great minds that we're interviewing. That's not what it's about. It's about spreading the word, however we can, whatever we have to do to help each other, to support each other, because in the end, we're here together.
So tell us about your personal journey, because it's a true gift for people, I think, to hear, because you went through some pretty hard times before getting to this place of open heart and finding your life purpose.
My journey is an interesting one, to say the least. I'm a child of the 60s. I was hip deep in the sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle of my generation. And as a friend of mine said one time, it gave me an up-close and personal view of the bottom of the barrel. And at one point in my life, over 20 years ago, over 23 years ago now, I was drinking 2 bottles of vodka a day and ingesting enough stimulants so that I could stay awake, so that I could drink 2 bottles of vodka a day. And there came a point in my life where through amazing synchronistic events, before I even knew what the word synchronicity meant, I had all of these synchronistic events that helped me drag myself out of that paradigm and move into the world of living life from a more life-affirming, more positive perspective. And the drugs and the booze went out the window, and my life has just been, every single day since sobriety, my life has been better and better and better, no exceptions. Every day it just gets more wonderful. And it's all about that constant and consistent conscious attempt to be more positive, to be more spiritual, to live life from a perspective of oneness, of wholeness, of loving and respecting everyone else in my path. Does that happen all the time, every single day? No, of course it doesn't. But that's what I'm working towards. That's what I'm moving towards. That's what's important to me, is to embrace that oneness of all creation.
So how did you make that shift from your old paradigm and where you were at with those addictions to, what was the shifting point? What was that tipping point? How did you open up to something new?
That's an interesting question, Lilu, because there really wasn't a whole lot of conscious thought. It was a very much almost subliminal step-by-step process. There was what I always refer to as an intervention by the law authorities. Basically, I got arrested, and I had a couple of DUI arrests for driving while impaired. I was arrested for selling drugs. I had all kinds of these crazy things happen, and then out of nowhere, some people appeared in my life who kept me from going to jail, who kind of pushed me forward into a little bit of counseling, a little bit of looking at my life a little bit differently. And there was something that clicked, and for the life of me, I don't know what it was, but there was something that clicked in my mind that said, you know what? Pay attention. There's something good to be gained from these classes. There's something good to be gained
Which
from
classes?
12 steps.
You
know what?
AA?
I went to AA for less than a year. I went to 12 steps for less than a year. I walked away and I never looked back, because I believe it's important that one go inside and find out what were the underlying causes. Why was I self-medicating with drugs and alcohol all this time? I was sober. Now that I'm sober, what were the reasons that I needed to drink in the first place? So that's where I went with that. But I also took some classes that were required from getting the arrest for driving while intoxicated. Okay, they send you to these what we call the DUI classes, and it was my second trip through them. And on the second trip, I said, wow, you know what, man? Everybody here claims that they're here because someone else was an idiot or someone else was responsible. How about I take responsibility for my own life and I see if there's something I can get out of this? And that actually was, looking back, and this conversation is the first time I've thought about this. That may have been the turning point. That maybe have been the point in my life where I decided time to take responsibility for me.
That's a huge step in one's life.
It was enormous for me, obviously, because if I'd continued on the path I was on, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation. I'd have been long ago dead.
And then you're saying that you really, was it 20 or so years ago, right?
23. I've been sober for 23 years.
Fantastic. And you're saying it probably happened at the right time so that you can save your body from having any damages, right?
You remember that from another conversation we
Yeah.
had. Yes, I think that I joke that my body is a tremendous testament to the forgiving nature of the human body, but I think that's because I stopped abusing it physically early enough in my life, and then went the other direction, by the way. I started taking care of myself. I started exercising, watching what I eat. My beloved Lisa takes amazing care of me with the food she prepares for me and the food she prepares for us. And I think that's an important piece of living a holistic life. Everything has a mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical piece to it. Too often we ignore the physical piece, and the physical piece is important. But once I stopped abusing myself and started taking care of my body,
Everything
It
started
worked.
putting into place. Even
Yeah.
your relationship, I bet they changed too. The people that you were interacting with, did you had to cut the old ones to
boy.
start? How did that? What was the transition like?
that transition was interesting as well, because there were lots of people in my life who I considered to be my friends that were really just my drinking buddies.
Wow.
And once I stopped drinking, they treated me like I had the plague. They didn't even want anything to do with me. I was a pariah. They just go away. And which was a good thing, because in the end, what it did was move me in the direction of being associated with people who were just more positive, more life-affirming people that were looking for what's the next vision of themselves, not where's their next drink.
So when did Lisa came in your life? Because now you have a wonderful partner. She is so amazing and totally supports you in your vision. And how did she came about?
Lisa and I met at where you were. We met at Mile High Church.
Oh.
We met in the lobby of Mile High Church, and it was a brief encounter, and then there was one more encounter in the community center after the service was over. But those two encounters together didn't last for 2 minutes. And I asked her to go to lunch with me, and it was interesting. She said, I can't go to lunch today. And I said, I don't mean today. I said, here's my business card. If you're interested in having lunch, give me a call and we'll have lunch. I was trying to make it as non-threatening as I could. This is a great story. She'll love to hear this on YouTube. But that was Thanksgiving weekend, or Thanksgiving week. And she called me on Monday, and we made a date to go to lunch on Wednesday. But on Thanksgiving Day, I was leaving to go to a cousin's wedding in Chicago. And so I knew I was pressing my luck by making a lunch date with her on Wednesday, but I made the date anyway. The truth was, it never happened. But I went to Chicago, and I called her like 3 or 4 times while I was in Chicago over that weekend, and I joked with her, we're going to fall in love over the phone. And she thought that was very funny. But what happened was, we got to talk a lot about philosophy, about our spiritual beliefs, about how we had changed over the course of our lives. And so by the time we actually did go to that very first lunch, we knew enough about each other that I think we were well prepared to fall in love right there on the spot, and that's pretty much what happened.
And tell us about your relationship now together and how they're different from other ones that you had in the past.
Oh wow, all my relationships are different. All of my relationships really come from a heart space, if you will. I don't have any people in my life who aren't genuinely glad to see me when they see me, and I'm genuinely glad to see them. There just aren't people there who who are present, and those who don't fit into that paradigm are just passing highs, how are you, and keep on moving. But for the most part, everybody in my life is people I want to be with. They're people who we support each other in everything that we're doing. There's no one out there who's not a cheerleader for my next highest vision of myself, for my greater good, and likewise, that's how I feel about them. It's a whole different world.
So she's definitely that 100% behind you and more.
Lisa's number one. She's she's my number one cheerleader. She's my number one fan. She's my best friend. She's the love of my life. She supports me in every single way, and I support her in every single way. And we're very much yin and yang. We're very different people. I'm the crazy, out front, boisterous radio talk show host, ranting metaphysician, and she's kind of quiet. And so we're very different people. But it's a great relationship. And
tell us about the whole teen, what you're creating with teens, because you're meeting them once a week there at Hama Church, and what's happening in that room? What's your intention? What's going on?
What's my intention? Boy, I'm glad you asked that question, because I have one intention. And I'm very clear about my mission in the world. My mission here, the reason I'm here at this point, is to make people understand that no matter where they are, they can change what they're doing and who they are, who they represent, how they express into the world by simply adopting some simple practices. I call it daily spiritual practice. You can call it whatever you want. But for me, it starts with meditation. And then it works with affirmations and maybe some prayer work if that works for you, or journaling, or those kinds of things. But what my mission is to transfer that knowledge, that changes your life, that makes life better, that gives you resiliency in your life, allowing you to step back from life's vicissitudes and look at them and say, wow, I have more in me than what this problem represents. And I want to get that message across to the teens. And my mission is really simple with them. If I can get 2 or 3 of them every year to recognize that the answer to their biggest challenges in the world is to adopt a serious daily practice, then I've accomplished my mission with them. Now my bigger mission is to take that knowledge to the world, because I always say that if you want to change the entire world tomorrow, want to change the entire thing in 24 hours, then teach every grammar school kid on the planet to meditate today. And we'll live in a different world tomorrow afternoon, without any question. But that's the mission with the teens.
And they're so awesome. They get it right away.
They're amazing, aren't they? The energy. And it's, these are kids they come from every socioeconomic background imaginable. They come from your regular traditional families. They come from broken homes. They come from homes that are in trouble. They are kids that are at risk. They are kids they're darn near geniuses in their schools. They have been to Africa to do service work. They have been to Thailand to do service work. They've done all these amazing things in the world, and they come together. They all go to different high schools. They come together on a Sunday, and the love and the camaraderie and the unity and that feeling of oneness in that room, you felt it.
Oh yeah.
You cut it with a knife. I mean, it's real. And you can feel that to your very core. And that to me is one of the most beautiful things in my life. It is, without any question, it's the most important work that I do. There's nothing I could ever do that would be more important than the hour I spend every Sunday with those teens at Mile High Church.
I love your sensitivity. Right now Ken has tears in his eyes, and it's so beautiful to see a man that opens up like that, and that is sensitive, and that, because as men, I guess you're not raised as to show emotions like that and be a man of the heart, because you truly are.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a big shift, I guess, from where you were from before, and not like to now.
Yeah. It's a bit of a shift. You could say that.
Yeah, but it's so much more fulfilling, isn't it?
It's when you are vulnerable, when you feel those moments of vulnerability, when you're conscious that you feel that. I think those are tremendous opportunities to recognize and appreciate yourself, what you're doing, what you are expressing into the world, the gifts that you bring. If you're not vulnerable at all in your own heart, then you don't get that you're bringing something to the world, that you're important. I believe, in fact, I don't believe, I know to my core that every single one of us chose to be here right now on this planet in these very interesting times, and each of us brings gifts. And the first most important piece of occupying your place in that puzzle is recognizing your gifts.
And our
recognize
greatness.
what you bring,
Yeah.
and your greatness.
So
You know?
you're moved by that. You're moved by your greatness and how
Absolutely.
you're helping others right now in this lifetime.
Yeah, and
What a feeling.
it's a strange feeling. It's not. There's no false humility involved. This is not about, oh, I'm not that big a deal. Yes, I am. I'm here to serve a purpose. And my purpose is no bigger than your purpose. Your purpose is no bigger than Sergei's purpose. None of our purpose is any bigger than anyone else's, but we need to appreciate ourselves. I need to appreciate what I bring to the world before I can ever appreciate what Lila brings to the world.
Wow. I mean, this is just wow. You know, when you're in this place, it's like only silence could to really let it sink in. This is beautiful, Ken.
I love to leave people speechless.
This is awesome.
This is, I have looked forward to this opportunity because we come from not only different countries, we come from totally different places, and we met in Sedona, and we met in more ways than just face to face in Sedona. We have met as heart to heart. My friend Barry says, I am so thrilled that our souls decided to meet up in this life. And that's how I feel about you and Linda and Sergei, the people traveling with you, and my beloved Lisa, and all of my really close friends. We are collaborating, cooperating, and co-creating to make something huge and beautiful in this life. There is a shift in consciousness going on. It's going on right now. And yes, things are moving very quickly. I call it the quickening. Things are moving rapidly. People are confused. People are like lost. Like, what's going on here? Everything I knew and depended on in my whole life is disappearing. It's evaporating. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but in their head they know. I'm supposed to do more. I'm supposed to be bigger than this. What is that? What am I supposed to be doing?
So is that for you living a juicy life? Would you say you have a juicy life?
You know what? That's you and I have talked about the word juicy before. I love the word juicy, and I am absolutely living a juicy life. I have juicy people all around me. I have juicy things going on. The gifts that I bring, the gifts that that people receive from me, are juicy in and of themselves. And I'm just I can't imagine. I never could have imagined in my past life that my life would ever be this fulfilling, this happy, this joyful, but it is.
And how juicy it is that now you're helping others to find their life purpose too. Because that's really what you're doing right now. You're helping people finding their real purpose.
Yeah, that's I hope that's what I'm doing. I have I mentioned to you before, I have a webinar coming up on March 18th and 19th with a best-selling author, Sue Frederick, who wrote the book, I See Your Dream Job. She's a career intuitive. And the purpose of the webinar is to show people that, yes, you have a greater purpose. And here's an idea of what that might be. And just not tell people this is what you're supposed to be doing, but give them an idea. This is what your higher purpose might look like. And then, most importantly, show them how they can align with that right now. Not flip your life over 180 degrees and become somebody totally different, but little by little, align yourself with your purpose and line up with that. That, to me, is an important work at a time when people are confused about what am I supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
People have lost their jobs or have lost their jobs for long periods of time.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets to write a book. I lost my job and I like it.
That's a good point, and that was my expression. But a lot of people, are lost and don't know where to go from here because there's just it doesn't seem like there's any solution arising. But it has to arise from a different place, doesn't it?
Well, you know what? We're all so used to looking out here for the solution.
Yeah.
People need to recognize and know solution is here. It starts right here. One of my favorite expressions, I don't even know who it came from, I don't know where I got it, but one of the greatest expressions I ever heard was that all of our problems stem from our mistaken belief that something outside of our own hearts must change first. And we all think that something out of here has got to be better and different before I can be better and different. Wrong. Be better and different here, and then everything is better and different out there.
Thank you for this very special moment, Ken.
Thank you,
This is
my
delicious.
darling.
This is juicy. This
This
is
is
what the
juicy.
Juicy tour is all about.
Yes.
Meeting people like you and capturing those moments for everybody to see that on a international level. It's a global conversation.
Yes, it is, and I've just been my great thrill to be here with you, to know you. I love you, and I love the work you're doing. I love the Juicy Tour. This is a planet-changing endeavor. This is not a life-changing endeavor. This is a planet-changing endeavor. And I wish you nothing but the greatest of everything that you can possibly get with this.
Thank you. Thank you. Much love, my beautiful co-creators. And if you want to see more interviews, you can always go to gclivingtour.com. The time is now. Bye.